Hello and greetings, I'm Tommy the Keyblade Master and welcome to my channel. I'm sorry I haven't posted anything in over a week. I'm working on a large project, a game guide that I'm going to be uploading sometime in the near future, hopefully before the end of the week. I was planning on trying to get it done today. Unfortunately, my PC told me it had other plans. Needless to say, I finally got everything up and running and I seem to fix some of the videos it decided to screw up, but needless to say, that cost me a day, so I'm set back a little bit. I'm also going to tell you that next month I'm going to be dedicated mostly to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, both from the past and some from the present, reviewing some of the really great games and reviewing some of the ones that weren't so great, so look for that on my channel. Anyways, this last week has had some very interesting news from both Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. I want to start with Microsoft first since they had the most news. Windows 10 is coming. I guess Windows 8 was so crappy they decided to skip Windows 9. Okay, there's, I guess, some coding problems when it comes to Windows 95 and 98. That's why they couldn't use the word 9. But still, it's kind of funny. I have never owned a Windows 8 computer, but I live with someone who does, and I have to play amateur tech support for that. And I don't know what Microsoft was thinking. Were they just sitting around and go, everybody just loves our UI interface. Let's change it to something that's hard to use, hard to figure out, and completely different and see how people react, because that UI on Windows 8 is yeesh. Windows 10, judging from screenshots, is going to bring back some of the old user interface, but they're going to leave some of the Windows 8 interface that's, good for touchscreens. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays off. The big thing is that Windows 10 will allow you to stream Xbox One games into it. That could be interesting. My PC and Xbox One, though, sit on the same table, so I'm not exactly super hyped about that option, but I can understand people who are, especially portable PC users who might want to take their Xbox games on the go, or people who might not want to go out and buy a screen capture card and instead use capture software on their PC to record game footage, so I can understand that. And speaking about game footage, Microsoft also redid their terms of use to allow monetized YouTube videos of their content, with the exception of a few games which had disclaimers like Forza, which had many licensed products. Pretty much you can now capture Microsoft game footage, do a let's play or a review of it and monetize it on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of stipulations to it though. Most of it won't affect the average YouTube let's player. Basically, Microsoft, of course, wants legal copies of the game to be played. They don't want any hacks or other cheating devices to be used while recording footage. And the big one, and this might trip up a few YouTubers by accident, but you have to make sure that your video does not look like an official Microsoft video. Otherwise, they will strike your account. But like I said, for the average YouTuber, those aren't going to be an issue. So, going to be reviewing Halo probably sometime in the near future, especially with the Master Chief Collection out. So this is good news from Microsoft. Then on top of that, they also have new glasses coming out that displays holograms that people can send you from their PCs. And I could see some good real-world use of that. I wonder, though, if they will fit over regular glasses, because unlike my little characters that I draw, I wear some pretty thick glasses in real life and have terrible vision. But if they can get around that, it might be cool. I mean, they show some good real-use applications. For example, if you need a do-it-yourself plumbing job, you could probably call a plumber or someone who knows what they're doing, and they could just draw on the screen where you need to turn and what tool, and it kind of just appears on the glasses in 3D. So that's pretty cool technology. And Microsoft Windows 10 will also be a free upgrade for most Windows users. If you have Windows 7 or 8, you can get it for free for the first year. I don't know if I'll download it or pick it up, mainly because I own an older PC that doesn't have as much RAM compared to the newer ones. And operating systems do take up a lot of RAM. So I'm a little squeamish about upgrading unless I buy a new PC. And the way my PC has been acting today, that might be an investment in the near future. Either because the thing's going to finally crash on me, or I'm going to take a sledgehammer to it. Alright, on to Nintendo. Nintendo has closed, or is closing Club Nintendo. This is kind of unfortunate for us Nintendo fans. If you were a hardcore Nintendo fan of the Wii, you probably registered all your games. I know I did, and collected all the rewards and spent some coins. Well, that's going the way of the dodo for some new rewards program. This isn't really a surprise to me. Last year, the Club Nintendo was kind of dead when it came to physical items. They didn't have much physical. They did give out free digital games, that you could spend your coins on. And then when I platinumed last year, it was like, choose a digital game that's like $10. And that was about it. I was kind of disappointed. They did make up with it because they sent out free codes for the Smash Brothers, and then they sent out another code last week as well for Monster Hunter for those of us who platinumed on Club Nintendo. So that's kind of neat. Let's see here, what else? Oh, Nintendo is also re-releasing through Viz their Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past comic that appeared in Nintendo Power over 20 years ago. For you kids who don't know what I'm talking about, Nintendo Power used to be a magazine that Nintendo released with all their gaming news and pro-Nintendo propaganda. But one of the things they did in the very early 90s to hype the Super Nintendo was they released these serialized comics of Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers. No word if Viz is going to get rights to release the Super Mario World one, because that one was pretty good too. I do own a copy of the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past comic that they're reproducing. It's pretty good. It's got some interesting illustrations, and they did a few things to mix it up. For one thing, in the Dark World, Link meets a fairy companion who helps guide him through the rest of the world. Sound familiar? Except she's not quite as annoying as Navi or Tattle. There's also another guy he teams up with once he's in a dark world that's kind of his rival. They both want to defeat Ganon for different reasons and believe they're the hero, and this guy starts turning into a hawk the longer he stays in the dark world. It's a pretty interesting comic. If you're a fan of The Legend of Zelda, I suggest checking it out. Finally, we get to Sony. Sony. Yeah, today had some bad news for Vita users. They are discontinuing the YouTube app on that. Well, Sony says you can still get it through their internet browser. Anyone who uses a mobile platform knows how handy it is when a major website releases an app for it. They're usually easier to control with the touchscreen and easier to use on smaller screens. So now you have to go through a manual browser to get to YouTube in a few months. Seems to be kind of a disappointment. But I'm not too surprised. Sony has treated the Vita like a red-headed stepchild from day one. When I first saw the 3DS get released and I was hyped for it, I was one of the day one buyers of that, and it was something I quickly regretted as I did a written review for it for a now defunct website. I titled my review "The World's Most Expensive Pedometer in 3D," kind of making light out of the fact that outside of the pedometer feature, there wasn't much to really experience on the 3DS at the time. Nintendo quickly saw its mistake that they released it too early at too high a price with not much on their library. Some casualties happened along the way, mainly in the name of Mega Man Legends 3 and an Assassin's Creed 3DS game. But Nintendo saw its mistake. Those of us who stuck with them got 20 free Nintendo games to download, and we eventually saw the software pick up to where the 3DS is one of the greatest handheld gaming devices ever. Sony, on the other hand, made the exact same mistakes, despite some Sony fanboys' assurance that they weren't and they were going to dominate the market. Too high a price for a portable, and then they made the same mistake as the PSP of having the same games available on actual consoles for the portable for the same price, and some other ridiculous marketing mess-ups caused the Vita to start floundering. However, this is where we saw the 180 between the two consoles and the companies that ran them. Nintendo, first year the 3DS came out and it started a flounder. Nintendo's entire E3 conference was why you should stick with the 3DS and get a 3DS. Great things were coming for the 3DS. Sony's conference, nothing on Vita. It was like the Vita doesn't exist. Now, to be fair to Sony, they have some interesting ideas for it that make it more of a PS4 accessory than an actual handheld, but its days as an independent mobile or handheld video game device is pretty much over. It might have some success as either PlayStation TV or as an accessory for the PS4 for streaming games from the PS4 and PS Now service. But like I said, its days as an independent gaming system are over. The only company that I see really supporting it and giving it any type of games of quality are Namco Bandai, because they do have 2 JRPG games I'm kind of interested in, but not enough for me to even spend $100 or so for the PlayStation TV. And yeah, they dropped the price, but I'm so disinterested in the PlayStation TV right now that I haven't even bothered to check on the new price. Anyways, the 2 games are Tales of Heart and Sword Art Online, and I've only read some so-so reviews on both, so I'm not exactly, excited to rush out and get it just for those 2 games, knowing that there's probably not going to be much individual software support for it. I kind of feel bad for Sony fans. The PSP was a great rival for the DS. While I personally would take the DS and its library over the PSP had some of the best non-Nintendo handheld library ever made. It had things like Final Fantasy Dissidia, Kingdom Hearts, Birth by Sleep, Castlevania Dracula X, Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. All of these are some really great games that I enjoyed playing. And it's just a shame that I won't be getting a Vita or am even interested in the Vita for a different library than what the 3DS gives me. So, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that Sony kind of released a handheld with no idea what it's going to do with it. Anyways, that's all for my wrap. If you're a subscriber to my channel, and I urge you to be a subscriber to my channel, you might see your subscription box filled for a few days with my guide. I kind of apologize for that, but I hope people find use for it. And hopefully early next month I will start releasing those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game reviews. It's going to stretch, like I said, from the NES to modern day consoles. I won't be reviewing all of them because I haven't owned all of them or even played all of them. But I will be reviewing a good chunk of them. Like I said, some of them are really good, and I'll even review a few crappy ones. Some of them really old, and some of the newer ones fall, unfortunately, in that category. So I hope people will have fun with that once I start reviewing them. Anyways, I hope you have a nice day, and please click on that subscribe button.